Lesson 8.6, Part 2. So we were just looking at example D, x squared minus x minus 20, and we kind of concluded it was x plus 4 and x minus 5. Definitely need to check our answer by foiling. So what would my first give me? X squared. What about the outer? Negative 5x. The inner? 4x. And the last? Negative 20. And if I put my outer, inner together, what would that give me? Negative x. So that's what we wanted. So we know that is definitely x plus 4 times x minus 5. Now, I've got some questions coming. So, Ben, what's your question? Okay, so when you have different signs, will the biggest number always go to the minus? Okay, the answer to that is no, because of this reason right here. Okay, let me erase these. Ben, this sign right here determines which one of them gets the biggest number. If that were a plus sign, then that means the biggest number would have to go to a plus sign. Look back to this example right here, Ben. Remember we used a 3 and a 6, okay? Didn't the 6 go with the plus? Okay, so the biggest one went with the plus because when you do the outer inner, you need the result to have the sign of that second term, okay? So that's why, and that the first one, 6 went with the plus, and on this second one, 5 went with the minus because it ended up with the minus. Do you understand that? You'll understand more the more you practice, I promise. Okay, Tora.
How would you know when you should subtract for the difference or add 5 and 4?
Okay, here's how you check right here. This term, if that is a minus, then you're definitely going to subtract, okay? And this term, if it's a plus, that means you're going to add. That's how you tell the difference. Whatever that last sign is, if it's a minus, you're going to subtract your factor pair, and if it's a plus, you're going to add your factor pair. That's how you tell. Question? Any other questions? Okay, so let's look at example E. A squared plus 7a plus 4. Okay, so who wants to try to do this one? Ethan, first step.
First step, you would look to and you make 2 parentheses because of the x squared.
Okay, so I'm going to write what in my parentheses?
A and A.
A and A. Okay, now what?
You look at the sign on C.
So that is a plus, so that's going to tell me what?
That they're both positive.
Yes, because you look at this, and that means they're both positive. All right, next. Now what do we do?
You list the factors of 4.
And what are the factors of 4? Factor pairs. I always start with 1. 1 times 4 and
2 times 2.
2 times 2. Okay, now Ethan, are there any others? No. So the next question is, what factor pair of 4 has the sum of 7? Which one would that be, Ethan? None of them. Guess what? This is called prime. You know, just like we have prime numbers that really don't factor anything, but 1 in itself, you have trinomials that are prime, and that is one of them. Okay? That's it. That's all you do. Prime. Now, today's prime, much better because, you know, there's no number in front of that squared term. But, boy, if it is the numbers that we deal in the next lesson, then you got a lot of practicing to do before you can conclude it's prime. Okay. Now, any other questions about that? Nothing works, just prime. All right, let's look and see what this is really all about. So we're leading up to solving equations. These are called quadratic equations. All right, anything with a squared term is called a quadratic equation, and that's what this is. What you do is you factor it like we just did, and notice that it's equal to 0. If it is not already equal to 0, you have to make it. So let's put that in there so that we have that written down. Must equal 0. Must equal 0. If it is not, you got to make it equal 0. In other words, you bring everything to the same side so that it equals 0. But most importantly, you see this term right here? You want it positive, if you can. Well, there's no if you can. Make it positive. So you make it positive, and then everything else goes to that side, okay? Then it should be equal to 0. Okay, so here's what happens. It kind of follows what we were talking about yesterday about that 0 thing, but we'll get there in a second. Anyway, 2 sets of parentheses, set that equal to 0, because this is an equation. M squared, what's that going to tell me? M and M. Okay, I don't know if it's peanut or chocolate. Oh, just kidding. That was little M&M humor. All right, there is a minus in front of the 10. What does that mean to you?
Different signs.
Different signs, plus and minus. All right, now we need to list factor pairs of 10. So 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. Yep. Since it's a minus, we're going to subtract the numbers, and we want to know which of those pairs can we subtract and get 3. So which one, Avery?
2 minus 5.
2 and 5, and because it's a minus, 5 goes, the biggest one goes with minus. It's just like yesterday. And now, yes, it is just like yesterday. It's got this quantity times this quantity equals 0. So you know what that tells me? It tells me either m plus 2 equals 0 or m minus 5 equals 0. One or the other. We don't know. So you solve them. This one you subtract 2. So either m is negative 2. This one you add 5. So m could maybe be 5. So my 2 answers, negative 2 and 5. What do you think? Okay.